And welcome back, everybody, to another UFC pay-per-view preview brought to you by thesportsdjs.com. Once again, be your host, Bubba. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric. And as usual, we have one of our guests. Doc couldn't make it, unfortunately. The guy finally took a vacation. But we do have Duggy back in the house after a little absence. You can find him on Twitter at California MMA. Duggy, how we doing?
Good. I just got a buzz on my phone that some chick Bumble messaged me, so I get to look at that later.
Oh, that'll be good. Is your main pick up there you and the romper? Because that's got to be working it.
Yeah, I think I'm holding a small white dog.
Well, then she must like small white dogs, if you know what I mean. And that laughing you hear is our special guest. You can find him on MMA Analysis, their podcast where they do every UFC card and even some Bellator. Very funny guy, very good guy, very knowledgeable sports guy. Wesley Colvin. You can find him on Twitter at TrueUK Wes, how we doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Good to get on the show. Finally talk a little fights with you, brother. Been following you on the old Twitter machine for a while now. Y'all guys do some good work. So, yeah, good to get on here and talk some fights, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Really glad to have you. And it should be a fun one as we've kind of been pumping this card for quite some time, especially since Jones Cormier hit it. But it's loaded. UFC 214 in Dougie's backyard. You going, Duggy?
I don't think I'm going to go. I want to. I don't think I'm going to make it happen, though. I think I'll just get the pay-per-view and hang out.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but instead I'll be in Pasadena if you're bored at Metallica. So knock yourself out if you're bored.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Let's
get into the fights.
It's a
very hard. I talked with my buddy. It was between that or San Diego. My buddy bought the tickets, and I said, well, shit, I guess we're going to Metallica.
Yeah.
Cool town.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So let's get into the fight card. As normal, we got 3 fights on the Fight Pass prelim, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. Not the greatest card on the prelims as we expect. We'll kick it off. Joshua Berkman taking on Drew Dober. Berkman 29-15, Dober 17-8. You can get Dober as a heavy 350 or so favorite. Any interest in this fight, Dougie or Wes?
No, not for me. If you bet negative 350 on Drew Dober, you have problems.
Yeah.
Since that.
Yeah, man, Berkman's like 1-6 in his last 7. I have no clue how he's even still in the UFC. He's got to have some dick pics at Dana or something. But you can't lay minus 350 on Dober. He should win this fight. I sprinkled on Dober by decision plus 160 because I like to have some degen action on just about every fight. So, yeah, Dober by decision plus 160, really small for fun.
Man of our own heart here at Sports Degens. All right, next up, Eric Showtime Shelton, 10-3, facing Jared the Monkey God. If you have a nickname like that, you better know how to fight. Brooks, 12-0. You can get Brooks at about a minus 150 favorite, so one of the tighter fights you'll see on most of these cards. We'll start with you, Wes. Any interest in this fight?
Yeah, actually, I like Eric Shelton quite a bit in this fight, man. I don't know how many your listeners check out the Ultimate Fighter, but Shelton was actually a contestant on that a couple seasons ago, and it was the season where it was a house full of flyweight champions from around the world that wasn't in the UFC, and Shelton was actually one of the better guys on the season, and ended up fighting a guy we saw last week in Pantoja, and went to a really close decision with Pantoja, his last fight. Pantoja, in my eyes, is going to be a top 5 guy in this division sooner rather than later. Jared Brooks is coming from some other promotions. He's not really fighting the toughest guys. The little tape I saw on him, he just doesn't have the wrestling to keep Shelton off of him in this fight. I can really see Shelton just riding top control for 3 rounds and getting a pretty wide decision here. So was kind of surprised that Shelton was the underdog. I thought this line would be flipped. So I will be taking a shot on Eric Shelton here at plus 130.
I like it. Dog action's always fun. Dougie, any interest on this card?
I just really don't like the monkey guy. He's a fucking nerd.
And that is the hard-hitting analysis you come to expect on the podcast. We love it. Love it. All right. let's go to the last fight on the Fight Pass prelims. It's looks like one of the more, just move on fights, go to the bathroom, get a beer, whatever you want to do. It is in the women's strawweight division. Kaylin Curran's 4-4 against Alexandra Stitch Albu, 6-0. You can get Albu at about a -160 favorite. Duggy, any interest?
No. This fight's gonna be bad. I can't believe they're showcasing this, let alone that it's even on a UFC card. They're fun to look at. That's all I got.
Oh, beautiful. What about you, Wes?
Yeah, on the other show that we did a little bit earlier, our buddy Sean said, and instead of watching this fight, just Google these two and check them out for about 15 minutes, and it'll be a lot more entertaining than the fight will be. If you want any kind of action, I would say just bet the over. Most women's fights go to a decision, and that's about it.
Beautiful. Let's get it on to the prelims on FXX. Because apparently FX and Fox Sports and Fox Sports 2 are all taken on Saturday night. So we're getting you deep dive. You check how much it is. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Kick it off with Andre Touchy-Feely. I always love that nickname. 16-4 against Calvin Qatar, 16-2. In the featherweight division, you're getting Feely at a heavy 355 favorite. Wes, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Feely should win this fight, but do not lay -355 on Feely. That's it. Pass.
Duggy.
I don't know anything about the Qatar guy, so I can't give any kind of a real opinion on this, except that it seems like laying 350 on Andre Feely is a trap.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the featherweight division. A much more, we're getting to the good fights now, in my opinion. At number 9th featherweight, Renato, I'm going to butcher this one, Moicano, 10-0-1, taking on Brian T. City Ortega, 11-0. Pretty tight on the books. You can get Moicano at about 145, 150. So dog action on Ortega. I'm pretty sure Dougie's had some interesting takes on Ortega in the past. What do you got on this one, Dougie?
I don't really know who's going to win. I think that this could get stuck as a standing kickboxing fight where Ortega can't get him down and he loses like a close fight. But I think if he can get a hold of him, he can end it pretty quickly. I don't like Ortega. Like, he fucking bugs me, because he's fucking real happy, and like people like that with that kind of overly positive demeanor fucking irk me. Like, you shouldn't be like that all the time. But I don't know anything about Moicano, really. I know he had a really good game plan against Jeremy Stevens and kind of outmaneuvered him, but this will probably just be a fun fight. Most of the time Ortega's fights are fun. I like to root against him, but he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's really potent with his game. He can just hit a sub out of nowhere, and that's always fun to watch. So
good stuff. What do you got on this one, Wes?
I hate listening to him.
Yeah, I think it's another fight where I think the lines are kind of flipped here. I think Moicano's kind of the fave here, coming off of that win against a really big name in Stevens. But in that fight, it was just more of a run and dodge and throw a jab here, throw a jab there. It was a really good game plan against a guy like Stevens, man. You don't want to throw down with him, but Moicano, he didn't perform in that fight. That wasn't. It doesn't justify him being a favorite in this fight, in my opinion. I think Ortega's way more well-rounded. I think Dougie could be right to where this ends up turning into a 3-round kickboxing match, but I think Ortega's a little bit better on the feet. He's got that length too, cuts off the cage well, so I don't think Moicano can jab and run in this fight. And if there is that chance where Ortega does get a hold of him and this hits the mat at any amount of time, Ortega can sub him. So it's another dog that I'll be playing here. I think I got plus 130 on Ortega, and I'll also be taking a stab at Ortega inside the distance, and I believe that is at plus 320. So yeah, that's what I like on this fight.
Yeah, I tend to agree. This is where I start to give my 2 cents because I actually know who the fighters are. Ortega definitely, in my opinion, should be the favorite. I agree that the line is sketchy to me. I'm not saying it should be a heavy favorite by any means, but it should definitely be flipped. He's just a better fighter. And like you said, if he gets to the ground, I like his upside a lot more than Moicano. If they just dance for 15 minutes, well, we'll preview the favorite fight that Dougie's looking forward to, Mayweather and McGregor. So either way, Dougie wins. We move on to another prelim fight. Aljamain Funkmaster Sterling, 13-2, taking on Renan the Baron Barral, 35-4. This is a weird fight. Sterling just, he's expected to be this just amazing young prospect, and to me, just never gets it going. He's the minus 135 favorite. Wes, what are you thinking on this one?
This is another fight to where it's really close, but Sterling should win this fight. He's not even really the younger guy here. It's hard to imagine that Renan Barral is only 30 years old. But just in fight years, he's way older than that. And we was having this discussion on the analysis that like these lower weight guys, it seems like when they hit the oldness and they start losing a little bit, they hit it hard. I just think because in those lower weights, the athleticism and the speed and stuff means so much more. And just losing just a little bit of it can change your entire game. But in this fight, I can see a path for Renan here. Like he's got a 100% takedown defense in the UFC, a 100%. Now, I could argue that a little bit in the TJ fight. I think TJ got his hips on the mat like once or twice, but Renan was right back up. So that's a pretty good thing to have in your back pocket. And Sterling, he still doesn't have the best striking. Sterling is still a grappler at heart and wants to get this to the mat. Now, if he can't get Barral down and this turns into a 3-round kickboxing match, I could absolutely see Renan Barral winning 2 rounds here. So this is another dog that I'll be taking a small stab at. I got Renan at like plus 120. I would not be surprised to see Sterling win this fight. I do think Barral is absolutely on the decline. A lot of other people will tell you that. But there is a clear path here for Barral to win this fight. And like you said, Sterling has still not lived up to all the hype that I put it on him. I think I said a couple years ago he could be a champion, but it's still not showing up completely yet. And also, I think Sterling has had some big fights to where it's gotten to him, where just the pressure's gotten to him. And this is a really big fight on a really big card against a former champion. So I could see that happening again here. And I'll take the shot at plus money to see if it does.
Yeah, I like it. Dougie, what's your thoughts on this fight?
A real hard fight for me to call because Sterling has an incomplete game that doesn't work well, in my opinion. That's like a kick-based stand-up game, and then he has to rely on takedowns. And he's kind of like missing that middle phase of his game. And then we don't know how steep this decline is for Barral. And against a non-elite competitor, he had to go to decision where that's a guy you figure he trucks in Nover. The more I think about it, I kind of agree with Wes that it feels like Barral has a clearer path to victory. I think he can keep it standing and just win a stand-up fight. We've seen Sterling not be able to take guys down before after he gets himself gassed, and he throws 25 kicks in the first round, he's done. It's a good fight. It is a hard fight for me to call. I guess I'll go with Barao probably.
Yeah,
I think I said Sterling on the analysis.
Yeah, it's a close fight, man. I could make cases for both guys for sure.
And that's yeah.
Yeah, that plus number just kind of tilts me, to.
Yeah, and that's something we talk about a lot when it's kind of a coin toss fight in MMA. Why wouldn't you take the value with the dog in a fight like that? It just makes all the sense in the world. You guys have seen this fight game long enough. More often than not, the dog is going to surprise people, or at least 50-50, and you're making money. And that's the bottom line in the end of it. You want to make some money. So it makes sense. It's a very, very tight fight. As you said, you got him, I think, at 130. It's already dropped down in some places 115, below 110. Heck, you go to certain books, he's plus 100. So it's dropping fast, and you guys summed it up really well. Sterling, he's super talented, and I was on the train with you, Wes, that he looked like he could be the next big thing. But when he has to fight a stand-up fight, he has nothing. And he just dances and prays. He can get a takedown, and then he gets frustrated, and he just kind of rolls up in a ball, and he might make it 15 minutes, but he doesn't do anything. It's a mental case with him. And you see him, like, in his past fights, he's out promoting things hard and, wearing his fur coats and all that stuff. And then he gets in the ring or octagon, and it's just a mess. Mm-hmm. But that's also a great point you made with Barao. We've seen that a lot with a lot of the Brazilian fighters, especially, that have had a heavy, heavy fight history that have just worn down lately. And it comes fast. So it's an interesting fight. I agree. It's worth taking a stab on the dog in this one, especially if Barao can keep it on the feet. Let's go to the last prelim fight on FXX in the featherweight division. The number 3 featherweight, or that's cut off. Number 3 featherweight, Ricardo the Bully Lamas, 17-5 versus Jason the Kid Knight, 20-2. Knight's an up-and-comer against more of the veteran Lamas, and you can get Lamas at about minus 125. Knight's about minus 125. Lamas about plus 105. So pretty tight fight here. Duggy, take it away.
I think this is a bad fight for Knight. I really like him. I like his style. I like his demeanor. But a power wrestling, really high-level grappler like Lamas, I think, eats him for lunch. Lamas just beating and subbing Oliveira makes me think that that's kind of what he's going to do here. I think this is kind of a similar build and style guy. They don't really approach the fight the same way, where Knight's more volume than Oliveira, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think if this fight happened next year, maybe it's a little different, but Knight will be back. I don't think this will be bad for him. I think this will be a good thing for him to have happen to him.
What about you, Wes?
Yeah, as you can tell by my thick country accent, me and I have a fondness for Jason Knight, man. He's kind of cut from my ilk, man, but I think he's in tough here. I do not get Ricardo Lamas being an underdog here, even a slight underdog. I love Jason Knight fights. I think he's got a lot of potential. And like Dougie said, maybe a year from now, he probably wins this fight. But if you've watched Jason Knight fights, he gets taken down by everybody. And I think one of the reasons is he doesn't really worry about takedowns when he's striking, because he knows he can get back up. His scramble game is just unbelievable. But Lamas is the wrong guy to be getting taken down by. Lamas will take you down, get on top, control you, and just start dropping bombs. And that's what's going to happen in this fight. Knight's going to get taken down, and I don't think he can scramble on Lamas and get back up. I'm kind of surprised Lamas is the dog here, and it's another one I'm going to have to take on this card. But, like Dougie said, a year from now, this is probably Jason Knight. Today, this is Ricardo Lamas. I think he gets a 3-round decision here, and I'll be taking the underdog money.
Yeah, can't argue with either of your guys' points on that. Quick question for you with Lamas. You know, the rankings don't mean a whole lot to me ever because it doesn't mean anything to Dana White and those curmudgeons making the fight. But he is number 3. If he has a pretty, you know, dominating victory here, does this give him the right to a title shot?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a couple guys still in front of him. We still got to get who is the title fight coming up now? It's Holloway and
Edgar, isn't it?
yeah, Holloway
Edgar,
and Frankie.
Aldo's still ahead of him. Swanson's ahead of him.
Yeah, Swanson will definitely get a title shot before Lamas. Yeah, I think Aldo would get another title shot ahead of Lamas.
They're not trying to get Lamas into a title shot.
Yeah, they don't want Lamas anywhere near that belt. Besides, you know, even his record and stuff. Yeah, he's a few back from getting a title shot.
So he should be in the 185 division then, so he can just dance in circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to check. That's why.
Most guys need to just go to 205 now because it's like Jones and a bunch of everybody else. There's like nobody there, you know.
They should all get on Johnny Hendrick's weight program and they can fight in the heavyweight division because no one ever stays healthy.
Yeah.
So, you know, go eat some goddamn hamburgers and you'll be fine. Or call Mike Dolce. That might work. All right, let's go to the pay-per-view, what we've been waiting for, UFC 214, live from Anaheim. First fight of the night, pretty exciting 205-pound light heavyweight division. You mentioned, you know, Jones is going to be the champ most likely. We'll get to that later. But you got the number 3 light heavyweight, Jimmy Poster Boy Manua, who's been very, very good, 17-2, going up against Volkan Ozdemir, number 5 light heavyweight at 14-1. And many don't remember, Ozdemir had one of the craziest quick knockouts in his last fight. That was just insane, absolutely insane. Kind of out of nowhere to a lot of our opinions. And it was awesome, absolutely awesome. Coming into this fight, you got Manuel as a pretty heavy favorite, -165, -170-ish. So some good dog money on Ozdemir. Many think it was kind of fluky the last time out. Manuel, you know, if Jones or Cormier wasn't going to fight, Manuel was promoting himself as the guy. But Duggy, kick us off with this light heavyweight fight.
I don't believe in Ozdemir. If Ozdemir wins, I don't believe in Ozdemir. I think Manua is going to win. I think we're getting a great, great number on Manua because of Ozdemir knocking out his last 2 guys. I think if Ozdemir fights Serkinov again, he loses. I think if Ozdemir fights OSP, he probably loses. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think Manua is going to beat him to death.
That seems like the logical path. Well, Wes, what's your take?
Yeah, I hate to agree, but if Ozdemir didn't knock out Serkinov in that last fight, I mean, we'd all kind of say was pretty flashy, kind of fluky. You don't ever want to say fluky in an MMA fight, but you know, it was kind of like that, you know. But if that didn't happen, I mean, Manua would be a -400 fave in this fight. I mean, it wouldn't even be this close. Manua's legit. I mean, that guy's right there for a title shot. I'm not sold at all on Ozdemir here, however the fuck you say his name. Let's just say Volkan. Yeah, I'm not sold on him yet. I think he can be decent, but he's not Jimmy Manua. Manua's going to get a KO here. You're getting -165 on Jimmy in this fight. It's pretty insane to me. I hate laying that kind of juice, but it's worth it in this fight. Also sprinkled on Jimmy by KO. I think that's right at even money. He's going to finish Volkan in this fight.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I was seeing. That's why I kind of hinted at the kind of flash knockout in his last fight. We were all big on that Serkinov, and I would have loved to have seen Jimmy versus Serkinov personally. That would have been one hell of a fight, and we still might see it down the road. But yeah, there's no reason to expect Manua besides the, you know, it's MMA and anything can happen. But this lines up for Jimmy to get a big win and kind of keep his move up the light heavyweight division and eventually get his chance to shine like he wants to. Next up, a fight that I am absolutely excited for. 2 of my favorite fighters in all of MMA, probably all of MMA history too, my top fighters. I saw Robbie Ruthless Lawler, the number 3 welterweight champ, live in San Jose a couple years ago, over top of Matt Brown in the 5th round, and it was one of the coolest things. That was just a bloody disaster. Most fights Robbie Lawler fights are bloody disasters, and I know he's getting towards the end of his days, and the one thing is, though, he's got those hands, and as long as he's got those hands, anything can happen. He's taken on just one of the greatest UFC fighters, just entertainment-wise, and Donald Cowboy Cerrone, 32-8. You know, he's made the move up to the welterweight division, and he's looked pretty good. As Doc and I stated before, his last fight when he lost, we thought he came back way too quick from his previous fight. He just shouldn't have been in there. It was one of those – he didn't look like himself. He looked tired. He's always wanting to fight and make money, to drink his fucking Coors Light and ride his boats and his jet skis and do what Donald Cerrone does. But he's had time to prepare for this fight. He knows he needs to win, or it's like, well, did you make the right decision? This should be – it's either going to be a real quick knockout or an all-out brawl. Wes, well, real quick, let me do my part here. I got emotional. We got Lawler's about a -160 favorite, and it's Cerrone about +130. Wes, what are your thoughts on these two just behemoths?
Yeah, man, this is 2 absolute legends of the sport. Like, you don't get too many fights like this, especially like the second fight on a pay-per-view. It was kind of hard, but the more I looked at this, a lot of people don't like year-plus long layoffs. It's kind of usually a huge red flag in the MMA game, but I don't think it would serve anybody more well than it's going to serve Robbie Lawler than taking this past year off from fighting. That dude was just in like 3 absolute wars, then turned around and got the kind of flash knockout from Woodley. He needed some time off. With Cowboy, I don't like him at 170. I know he's still good at 170. He's just that great of a fighter. But when you start getting into guys that are going to be the size of Lawler, it's going to play a factor against you. But besides that, it pains me to say, but I think we've started to see kind of the downside of Cowboy in his last couple fights. He's been rocked in the past couple fights. Punches that he used to completely just walk through are starting to stagger him and stop him. It's just not good to see. Cowboy is just too much of an offensive fighter and takes punches. You don't want to see that. I think Robbie wins here. I'm kind of more that I'm thinking it's going to be kind of a 3-round war, just because I think both guys will kind of slow more in the 2nd and 3rd round, won't have as much on their punches, so we won't see the big knockout. It could absolutely happen, but I think Robbie gets a 3-round decision here in what's a really fun fight. Pretty competitive war and something we'll all remember. But, man, I just think Cowboy's on the downside, man, and the year off is really going to help Robbie. And at around -150, I think it's worth a shot here.
Nice. Duggy, what are your thoughts on this fight?
I think that Lawler is a terrible matchup for Cerrone. I think he is a bigger version of Dos Anjos, who we've seen repeatedly just walk through Cerrone. I don't see a lot of paths to victory for Cerrone aside from like a flash KO. I don't think he can get him down. I think Lawler's takedown defense is too good. And I think Lawler taking that year off you see a guy go through that kind of a war, what's the best thing they can do? Take time off. It's not like that guy's going to forget how to fight, so he'll be fine. And I just don't think that it's a good matchup for Cerrone.
These are all really good points. Would you take Lawler just at the money line, Dougie, or would you try to go for a prop?
What is it?
I have no idea. What do you got the prop at, Wes? Do you have it up there?
What's the money line?
Yeah, I'll pull it up here. We have, let's see, Robbie. Let's see, Robbie by TKO is plus 195. Lawler by submission is plus 1475. That's not going to happen. But you're looking at about 2-1 for a Robbie KO.
Yeah, I would just take the money line.
Yeah, it's sad to say that it could be the end. I don't disagree with you guys at all. All I'm asking for is give me a 3-round war. That's all I want to see. I don't want it to be just something quick and pathetic.
I think we get that.
I'm hoping that's what we get because, you see some of these legends that like a Chuck Liddell and stuff are just goes, and that's the worst thing in the world. So at least give me a war. Go out, bloody, put your cowboy hat on, and maybe change the classes again. One last thing on this one. We know Lawler took a year off, and I have a feeling I know the answer to this, but Wes, what are your thoughts on him leaving American Top Team?
Yeah, I mean he's traveled around before and stuff, and Robbie is he's an absolute veteran, man. He's going to be fine wherever he goes, and I think didn't he go up towards Jersey and stuff and train with Frankie and them up there? Is that where he's at now?
I think so.
Sure.
I might be wrong, but I think he went up towards like where Eddie Alvarez and Frankie and all them guys train up there. But he's been up there in the past too, and kind of went back and forth to Florida and stuff. So yeah, that's gonna affect Robbie not at all.
All right. Let's get into the first of 3 title fights on this card, and this one should be the easiest of the 3. Well, maybe not. Depends on your thoughts on the main event. But this should be the easiest of the 3. We're talking featherweight women's title. Chris Cyborg finally getting her shot at 16-1. And first Tanya, triple threat Evinger 19-5. It's like the 5th opponent that they tried to get her to fight. And she's like a minus 1,100 or minus 1,300 favorite. We're talking Ronda Rousey days before people realized she couldn't take a punch or eat an apple. So Chris Cyborg, this could be quick if you guys want. Is there any way she's losing this fight? I'll start with you, Doug. Wes.
Yeah, Cyborg's not losing this fight. And if any of y'all know Duggy, he's a huge Evinger fan. Like Tanya Evinger is like a complete gangster. She's one of the better female MMA fighters out there. Just watch some of her fights from Invicta and stuff. Really fun fighter to watch, which you can't say that for a lot of the women, but she's going to get murdered here. One angle that I do like on this fight, Evinger is tough as hell, and sometimes Cyborg can get started a little bit slow. So the couple bets I like on this fight is fight starts round 2, and that is plus 166. I could absolutely see Evinger lasting that first round. And then another bet that I like is Cyborg in round 2, wins the fight in round 2, and that's plus 525. If she doesn't get Evinger out of there in the first, she will get her out of there in the second. So you just hope Evinger can survive, and you'll probably hit both of those bets if she does.
What are your thoughts on this one?
I love Evinger, but she has no chance of winning here. I'm not fully convinced she can get out of the first round. If she does, I think that bet that Wes has is about the only playable option that you have. That's
sounds good.
Dougie's in the car.
Yeah. This is usually the mid getting towards the main event, so we're taking a little relaxation break.
Yep.
He's got to get pumped.
Yep.
All right, let's get to the welterweight title fight. I have some very mixed reviews on both sides of this one, but I want to hear you guys first. You got the champ, if you want to think he is, but yes, he's the champ. Tyrone, the chosen one, Woodley, 16-3-1, going up against Damian Maia, 25-6. And you can get Woodley at about a -200 fave, Maya at about +160. Dougie, do we have you back for this one?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, we got you. What do you got on this one?
I like. I have no idea. This one, I go back and forth because I feel like Woodley should win. Woodley has the obvious clear path to victory. He's the better wrestler. It should be hard to take him down. He's got the power. He's the athlete. He's younger. He's faster. He's stronger. He's got all those edges. But if you're talking about where does Maya need to get Woodley to get him to the ground, you would say up against the fence. And then you say, where does Woodley put himself at almost all times in a fight just by himself?
Mm-hmm.
That's up against the fence. So that makes it weird to me. Then I guess Woodley's been working with Askren on position specifics on how to get out of Maya's takedown game, which I think would probably be as helpful of a guy as you can get for that. And I think people sleep on how good of a wrestler Woodley actually is, technically. So I don't know. I just go back and forth. I guess I'd want Maya to win because of the jiu-jitsu stuff, and then being at Woodley's last fight was just fucking terrible. So I generally will root against Tyron Woodley because the last fight I was out of his was fucking terrible.
What about you, Wes?
Yeah, I'm kind of like Dougie here. This is the one fight on the entire card that I've gone back and forth on. On the analysis on our first show, we pick champions who we think will be champs in each weight class at the end of the year, and welterweight, a couple of us, including me, had Maya, and this is the matchup we thought we would get, and man, it's still hard. Like Dougie said, Woodley is a legit wrestler that just doesn't use it a lot. But he's also absolutely right that Woodley loves to back up to the fence, man. And if Maya can get a hold of him just a couple times, I mean, we've seen what he's done to guys that are just as athletic and explosive as Woodley. He gets those guys to the ground and he works them over, man. It's a really tough fight to call because, like Dougie also said, Woodley should win this fight most times. But, man, I'm seeing I believe it's plus 285 on Maya inside the distance. And if he's going to win this fight, it's not going to be a decision. He's going to have to sub Woodley. Yeah, man, I mean, 3-1 on Maya to get him to the ground a couple times and be able to work for just a little bit. Yeah, I'll take those chances. So I'm going with Maya inside the distance plus 285, and I hope he takes that belt, man. I really do.
I love that bet. I really, really do. It sucks we're agreeing on all this. I definitely.
At least it's mostly dogs that we're agreeing on and not faves,
Yeah, it's really sad Doc's not here because he's Mr. Dog, so he'd be all over this. But
this is like his ultimate card.
Yeah, this is his ultimate card, and he's sitting on some beach or something, sipping Mai Tais with his wife, and we're doing this. But yeah, you look guy. If you use wrestling like you said, he's so dominant at wrestling. It's insane how good of a wrestler he is. But he likes to sit there and try to punch, and he can't even do that well. He throws 5 punches every minute, maybe if he's lucky. It's so frustrating to watch. Even I give him way too much credit. One punch a minute. And then you got Maya, who looked phenomenal against Gunnar Nelson, are really good, looked phenomenal against Matt Brown, even better against Carlos Condit. And then his last fight against Masvidal, the guy likes to stand up, but I think his stand-up game is way better than Woodley's. It worried me a little bit. It was very, it wasn't as dominant as we'd like. Doc was a lot like you, Wes, and I agreed with him that I saw Maya being the champion in this division at some time, and we got mad because he kept getting looked over. Finally, he's getting his shot. So when we saw this announcement, we were all for it. And it comes down to, like you guys said, if Woodley does his thing, we know he knows how to work a decision. At the same time, if he slips up at all, Maia will make him tap so fast it won't even be funny. So it's really tight, and I love the odds because you're right. The only way Maia's winning this fight is by submission. So that plus 285 is phenomenal. I would love to see it because it's not as much as I think Woodley's a horrible fighter. I don't think that at all. He's just so frustrating as a champion to watch him. He reminds me way too much of GSP late, where he just dances and he doesn't finish anymore. And it's just frustrating because he doesn't look like a champ. He just looks like a guy that wants to hold the belt and don't take it from me. I'm not going to beat you. Just don't take it from me.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating as hell. So I'd love to see Maia take this one down. But most importantly, the fight we've all been waiting for, and the one I have, and I pray to God we're all on the same side here, because if we're not, I want drug tests immediately, including you, Dougie. We got the light heavyweight title fight. The real champion, John Bones Jones, is 22-1, and he's going to go party where TMZ's not at after this fight. And he's facing Daniel Cormier, 19-1, and you can get John Jones about a minus 250 to 260 favorite. God, Dougie, started off.
I love John Jones here. I think that he's hyper motivated, and that's a scary thing. I have a belief that he is going to come out and try to cleanly take this down path and get a real fast sub and get out of there. A couple months back, he had done a grappling competition and talked about how he was really into what Demian Maia was doing in MMA because he wasn't getting hit at all. And I know he's embraced that. I know he has, but I don't know if that's what he's going to do. And I think no matter what he does, he's going to get a win, and he'll probably get it inside the distance this time. I think in this time, Cormier has only gotten older, he's only gotten slower, and he's only gone through more wars. So none of that's good. I think this is all John Jones. I actually kind of like Cormier as like a person. He doesn't bother me as an announcer or anything. A lot of people really dislike him, but I don't know. He doesn't bug me for some reason. But I just love John Jones. It's like my favorite. I love John Jones. So yeah, there's not much else to say. But I just wouldn't be real surprised if he comes in, gets a takedown, moves to side control, moves to mount, gets an arm triangle, and gets out of there with hard throwing a punch at him. It just makes it look clinical almost. Yeah, so great main event, great main card. Should be a lot of fun this weekend.
Yep. I agree with about 60% of what you had to say until you started talking about announcing. Wes, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, first off, Cormier is just absolute trash on the mic. Total trash, man. Come on. Yeah, man, I've watched combat sports for a really, really long time. I'm getting to be an old man, so I've put in a lot of years, and John Jones is the greatest thing that combat sports has ever seen. He's just phenomenal, man. You can like or dislike what he does outside of the cage. I don't care. To me, that's a different world. I can separate the two. I don't give a shit what guys do outside of, whatever. I can separate the two. Daniel Cormier, though, is one of the greatest fighters the sports scene too, though. He is really, really good. But he's in an era where there's just a guy better than him that's always going to be better than him. Cormier, like Dougie said, is just gotten older. The weight cuts kill him, man. He didn't make weight last time for his fight. So all that shit he says about Bones, about this and that, he cheated last time. He absolutely grabbed that towel and did make weight. So whatever. But you can see the weight cuts are just getting harder and harder on him. The guy's pushing 40. This is going to be a massacre, man. One thing about John Jones is he's always performed up to the level of the moment. You can talk about his OSP fight and that he didn't look good in this. It's because look at the moment. The moment didn't mean shit. This moment means everything to John Jones. He is, and like he performs to that level to the moment and to the opponent like few sportsmen we've ever seen. He is going to destroy DC in this fight. This is going to be ugly, and I can get the cases being made for DC staying in it. I get the case for DC lasting 5 and all this. I mean, most people I've seen ain't even picking DC to win. I think most people know who the better fighter is here. John Jones is going to finish this fight. He wants to finish this fight. He's going to finish this fight. John Jones inside the distance is plus 230. I will be all over that. John Jones at the minus 250. Lay it straight. This is one of the better bets out there. He is not going to lose this fight. There's no chances of flash KOs. John Jones does not get flash KO. That man's been hit with the biggest shots by the best guys in the division. He's never even been hurt. DC is not going to knock him out. This is one of the most safest bets in sports. John Jones will be the champion. He will hold that. He will hold that real belt, not that paper belt that DC's been masquerading around in for the past couple of years. John Jones, the true champ. Lay the money.
Fuck yeah, I'm ready to run through a wall for you right now. That was fucking great. That's what I'm talking about, because I hate Daniel Cormier with a passion. I got the chance to get close enough to meet him in San Jose at that card with Lawler. He was doing the Fox fucking table, and he was the biggest piece of shit then, and he's only gotten worse in my opinion. Like, in person, that guy is pure garbage. And he might be nice to other people, but and maybe it's an act, whatever it is. It's horrible. If you watch golf, he's the Johnny Miller of fucking broadcasting MMA. Go for it. There you go. I just went there. But you're right. The weight cuts are killing him. He looks like a skeleton at times now. His face looks all caved in. He just looks bad. And one of the scariest things, if not the scariest thing you'll ever see in mixed martial arts, is a determined John Jones. And if you – I know you guys have been, but for the listeners, if you've been paying attention to his, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to watch, this guy is – it's probably the most shredded I have seen this man in a long, long time. Like you said, he wants this more than anything in the world, and you're going to basically have to murder him to finish this fight. It's not going to happen. And sure, the longer it goes, it might favor DC. That's what he likes to do, is lay on top of guys. You're not laying on top of John Jones. It's not happening. I like Dougie's idea also. I think he wants to really hurt DC, but at the same time, he wants to make it as quick as humanly possible to prove he's that much better than him, that this just isn't even a contest. I hope to God it happens. If this doesn't happen, I was never a Ronda Rousey fan, but I guess that's how the 12 fans would feel when Holly Holm knocked her out. This seems, like you said, inside the distance at plus 230. There's no such thing as free money in MMA, but that is as close to free money as you are going to find in a long time. That's outstanding. That's like parlay material plus odds. That's really good stuff. If you can't tell by now, I love John Jones, and I love him to knock DC out, hopefully into the heavyweight division where he belongs, and or just out of the UFC completely. Maybe he can broadcast Invicta, and Duggy can watch that. I don't know. But I am so done with DC. It would make me so happy. And the worst thing, you can already see it now, is stupid Dana White and those idiots that bought the company will make a rematch out of this because DC will cry. And DC gets whatever the hell he wants. And that'll be another massacre on TV, which after a while, even Trump might not support that. So we really gotta watch out for people's health, because without Obamacare, what's DC really going to do? It's crazy. So give me John Jones in a murder, and maybe they'll make it Netflix. I don't know. But it's going to be awesome. Yeah, if you can't tell, I really like that fight.
Good shit.
So what are some of your best bets? Duggy, if you're with us, what's your best bets you're looking forward to? And he's out. Wes, what are you looking at as some of your best bets?
Let me see what I wrote down here. Yeah, on the early part, I really like Shelton at plus 130 at that dog money. Then I like Ortega also at the dog money. Kind of a flyer on Barral. That's not like one of my confident bets. That was just a little flyer. Lamas at plus 105. I really like that bet. I think Minowa is really good parlay material at that light line. I did Minowa Jones money line that pays like plus 122. Then my cyborg bets, those are just kind of small plays. That's nothing big. She could end that fight in 30 seconds. So just kind of small. Maya inside the distance plus 285. Jones inside the distance plus 230. So it's a really big card for me just because I see a lot of good spots at plus money on this card. I never go like this deep in bets unless it's all plus money. And I think there's a lot of good spots on this card. I really do.
Yeah, I hope I didn't piss Dougie off. I just hope he got lost in traffic. But I'm with you. I usually don't have more than 3, 4, maybe 5 bets on a card. Most of them are low odds to dogs. But I'm with you. Ortega at those odds, pretty darn outstanding to me. Lamas, Lawler, I'm going to find a way. The straight up line makes the most sense, but I might even look into inside the distance finish type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Brow, I'm going to look at that some more. I love that Jimmy Jones parlay. If you need that plus money, that's solid. Plus Jones inside the distance, and that Maya that you mentioned inside the distance is really, really nice. So those are – I might have an identical card to you because that's all very, very appealing stuff. And the lines actually for those dogs are going down. So if people like them, they might want to jump on it sooner than later.
Yeah, it seems like I've been watching the past couple of days. I'm not really good at reading lines. That's not my expertise. I know some people's really, really good at it. It's hard to do in MMA. Small amounts of money move MMA lines because it's a really small. Not a lot of people bet on MMA. But yeah, those dogs are starting to trickle down, which is usually good to see because most of the smart money usually comes in closer to fight day. So.
Yep. All right, we wrapped up the pay-per-view. I just have a couple more questions for you. I know I've heard you talk about it on your MMA analysis, so I wanted to bring it up here. It hadn't started yet at the last recording we did, but that Dana White's Contender Series, have you been able to watch much of that? And do you think it's something that might, be a full-time thing, or what are your thoughts on this series?
It's absolutely fantastic, man. I'm an MMA diehard, so I'm going to watch almost anything. But a Tuesday night kind of fights to where they're running rapid fire back to back. There's no commercial breaks, no bullshit. They're getting fighters in and out of there. Plus, you're bringing on guys these are literally all guys that are going to be in like the LFA and stuff, shit that the UFC are poaching guys from. Instead of just letting them go to LFA and fight once or twice and look at them, they're just bringing them onto this series and letting them fight and looking at them. So you're getting like some of the upper echelon talent that's right outside of the UFC, getting them every Tuesday night. And I think how they're going to do it, the way it's looking to me is they're going to do this in the summer, and then they're going to run Tough in like the winter, the fall. And then hopefully when Tough goes out, they run another one of these. It's looking like it's how it's going to shape up to me. But yeah, it's a fantastic idea, and it's been running great. The fights have been awesome. Like tonight they had 5 fights in a little over 90 minutes. Like that's how you want it, especially when you're sitting through some of these TV cards and you have a fight, 15 minutes of commercials. You have a fight, 20 minutes of commercials. That's what turns a lot of fans, especially casual fans, that turns a lot of them off. But yeah, as far as what I've seen, it's been fantastic. I love it.
That's good to hear because, we haven't got to really talk about it much, and I've seen your guys' reactions, and it seems like there's nothing bad to be said. So that is great to hear, because the sport does need more stuff like that to keep growing it and getting the more casual fans full time, like you were saying. So that's really awesome. Next, we don't have to preview this. I'm just announcing it. Next weekend, you got Fight Night, Pettis Moreno in Mexico City, and then the UFC got lazy, and we have like 3 weeks off. Like, what the hell is that shit? We've been having a fight every single week, so they got really lazy on us. Get pissed about that if you feel like it. Oh, wait, that fight's the goddamn McGregor-Mayweather fight. So we have almost a full month before we actually get UFC back again. So enjoy this weekend, folks, because this is about all you got for a while. But Wes, anything else you wanted to mention? Gamble Master, I believe.
Yeah. So I don't know if many of your listeners heard, but we do a pick'em contest, a yearly contest called, Tout Master. I believe you're in it, and but that runs once a year. Pick all the UFC fights. Good payout. I think it's a couple grand a first or something like that. But the guy that started that and runs the spreadsheet and everything also does another kind of quarterly contest called Gamble Master, but it's actual gambling. You make actual bets on the fights, each card. You get like a $10,000 bankroll. You make real actual bets, all the lines, all the props. You can do parlays any way you want. He's got a spreadsheet that's cool as hell. It's all drop down menus to put your bets in and everything. And the person with the most money at the end of 4 months worth of cards gets the pot. I think this quarter it was like $1,500 or something to first. But if you're interested in that, it starts after this weekend's card. We'll be on a new quarter of it. It's $50 to get in. Like I said, it's just kind of gambling with fake credit, real bets though. So if you bet MMA, you'll know how to do this, and it's real fun. A lot of money involved for the winter stuff. Guy that runs it is a cool, straight up guy. Most of us know him on Twitter, but yeah, if you got any questions or want to get involved in that, just shoot me a message, man, and I'll get you in contact with him. It's fun stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I've been looking to get into that. Maybe I'll jump in this next time. I do the Tout Master. It's all a lot of fun stuff, and they run a really smooth setup. Like you said, the drop-down menus and everything. It's pretty darn easy. Even a guy like me could figure it out.
Yeah,
so really, knock yourselves out. But Wes, man, this is awesome. We've been talking about this for a while. Finally made it work out for us. Appreciate you coming on again, man.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. Yeah, have me back anytime, man. I always love sitting down, talking to fights, man. I'm an absolute DJ, like most of us on here. So love talking about betting and fights, man, sports in general. So yeah, anytime, brother. Love to come back on, man.
Yeah, you guys can check him out on Twitter at True UK Fan. It's TRU UK Fan. And he doesn't just do MMA. He does like NASCAR, their minor league series, the Infinity Series. He does soccer. He does it all.
Well, I lose money on all the other stuff, but MMA and NASCAR, I win money on that and give it back on everything else.
And if you ever need the hard-breaking hog analysis, Wes is your man.
Absolutely.
So go and check that out. But again, everybody, thanks for listening. Check us out at thesportsdgens.com. And again, this was the UFC 214 pay-per-view preview. We'll catch you guys next time. Right here.